Well, good afternoon, Club 17, and welcome to another virtual meeting. Today, we're excited to have Cincinnati Police Chief Elliot Isaac with us today, and his team is keeping our city safe during these unprecedented times. So, welcome, Chief.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
We're looking forward to hearing your remarks. So, our club has been working very, very hard to make sure that our membership is engaged, and I wanted to talk about a few things before we get involved with having our chief present to us today. But we've been doing some things on our group Facebook page, and this week, on Tuesday as a matter of fact, we had a little bit of fun and posted 2 truths and a lie. And I have to admit there was several lies told. And we learned a lot of things about some amazing things that some of our members have done over their past. But some of the things I looked at, I'm sure were totally in violation of our 4-way test, including one of the comments was that this person has seen over 50 Grateful Dead shows. Not sure if that's true or not. Another person met the Dalai Lama. And another person actually was related to not only Napoleon, Charlemagne, but also Mussolini. So not sure if those are true as well, but we had a lot of fun with that. So thanks for everyone participating in that, and we're continuing to use Facebook to help us keep our membership engaged as well. Another opportunity is coming up tomorrow night, Friday the 17th at 7 p.m., where we're going to have our first ever Rotary After Hours session that's going to be a virtual happy hour. And Sam Schutte and the 131 Club are going to be conducting that and hosting that, and I'm looking forward to having a lot of fun with that as well. All the instructions as far as how to join the Zoom meeting were sent out last week by Christy, I believe. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to reach out to her as well, and she'll get you set up. We're also going to have some fun in the next couple weeks, and unfortunately the Kentucky Derby has been postponed, but that's not going to stop us from having our own fun. So we're going to actually have a Rotary Derby week, the week of April the 27th. So we're going to use Facebook to help us engage with that as well. So on Monday, your goal, your opportunity is to go on to Facebook and post a picture of your favorite Kentucky bourbon, and maybe even some tasting notes along the way as well. And on Tuesday, it's going to be Derby Hat Day. And your job is to post a photo of yourself wearing your favorite Derby hat. And rumor has it that Jane Burkhead is going to be really, really ready for this. I can't wait to see what kind of hat she's going to wear on that Tuesday. And on Wednesday, Molly Wellman will actually be doing a demo to teach us how to make the perfect mint julep. So looking forward to that. And on Thursday, our meeting for the week will be a virtual meeting again, and it'll feature Hilton's 4-star chef, George Zappas, who's going to be doing a live cooking demonstration of a Derby-themed dish. So that'll be even a different meeting compared to today's meeting as well. And last but not least, on Friday of that week, on May 1st, we're going to have our own live Rotary Derby. And our own sportscaster, Jim Brooks, will actually roll the dice and call the race. So you're going to have the opportunity to purchase a horse and actually win some money along the way as well. And according to Brooksy, there's quite a number of horses in the field that I'd like to point out. I'm not sure who came up with the names, but they're unique, I'll say that. High Risk Harriet, who now evidently is a 50-1 long shot. Stay Home Jerome is currently at 35-1 odds. My Corona, my favorite, has improved to 25-1. Acton Your Age is now at 10-1 odds. And the race favorite is Quarantini Martini, now at 5-2 odds. So we're going to have a lot of fun. And tomorrow there's going to be an email that goes out to every member that with all the details about this fun week, and help you understand how you can buy a horse for the race on Friday. So that should be a lot of fun. And thanks to Linda and her team for pulling all this together, and thanks to Jim Brooks for offering to help out as well. Now on to some more serious topics. As you know, our club has been extremely generous over the last several weeks, and we donated over $22,000 in Kroger gift cards to the Hilton staff so that we could help them cope with this pandemic. And I wanted to share with you an amazing thank you note that we received from two of the staff members in response to our donations. And I'll read it to you. Dear Rotary friends, my husband and I would like to thank you from the bottom of our hearts for your gracious gift of Kroger gift cards. I have to admit it's been very scary for not only myself, but my husband as well, to be furloughed and not have any income coming in, as both of us are banquet captains at the Hilton. Just as things seemed really desolate and confusing, we received a call that our friends from Rotary were thinking of us. And I can't tell you how important that was for us at a very, very dark time to hear of your support and care in our time of need. And during this Easter season of hope and rebirth, it really gave us the optimism we needed at this time. The financial and spiritual support you have given us will not be forgotten. Our Easter celebration this weekend would not have been possible without your help. And I wanted to share a picture of our family on Easter, which I have attached. Our 11-year-old daughter, Juliana, baked a very special Easter cake based upon your assistance. And we look forward to seeing all of you in the very near future. And please share our gratitude and heartfelt gift with all your members. Sincerely, Melody Von Wald and Lisandro Mendez. So that was perfect timing to be able to share that with you. This is also posted on our Facebook group page if you'd like to take a look and also see the photo. You know, our club has done amazing things over the last 4 to 5 weeks, and we continue to be generous in supporting those in need. And I'm not sure if you're keeping tally of all this, but since the pandemic began, our club has donated almost $175,000 to those in need. And today I wanted to discuss one more project to help those that are less fortunate. So last Thursday, your club board of directors actually approved a program to help the Girl Scout troops in our local area and also Cincinnati public school families through our partner, La Soup. So let me give you a little bit of background on this project. First of all, area Girl Scouts have lost an average of $900 per troop in cookie sales revenue. And those revenue dollars are used to support their goals and activities. And because of this, they're certainly not able to compete or complete all these activities without more help. You compound that with the fact that our corporate member, the Girl Scouts of Western Ohio, is projecting a $1 million loss to their largest revenue source, which is cookie sales. This certainly will impact the services that they are able to provide to over 37,000 girls within their region. And these are things like financial support to be able to send these girls to camp, to do training for troop leaders, and to provide valuable online resources for other volunteers. Additionally, when you think about how this pandemic is affecting the folks that have kids in Cincinnati public schools, they continue to struggle with their hunger issues. And we wanted to help them endure through this COVID crisis. So here's how the program works. We're actually going to be purchasing cookies from the Girl Scout troops in our area, and these cookies will then be delivered to La Soup. And as many of you probably recall, La Soup was a Jefferson Award winner, and Susie DeYoung is actually the founder and executive director, and she won the Jefferson Award in 2017. And this is an unbelievable organization that really takes care of wasted food from restaurants and other places and creates highly nutritious meals and provides those to families in need. So it's an amazing charity that is a partner of ours as well. So during this pandemic, La Soup is actually going to be making meals for Cincinnati public school families. And these folks are normally relying on meals that are supplied by Cincinnati public schools and their resources. But there's certainly a need that La Soup is helping fulfill. So they're going to be repackaging the cookies that we provide along with the meals they're preparing and providing this to families that are really in dire need and have hunger challenges. So that's the project. It's a really neat project that helps us support not only Girl Scouts but our corporate members and also the Cincinnati Public Schools families. So our board is asking members that are on the prepaid lunch plan to consider donating the cost of their prepaid lunches during the month of April to this program. We're also requesting those that pay at the door, the senior active members, to consider making a contribution to the program. In addition to that, our board has unanimously approved providing a matching fund of up to $10,000 that'll match the funds that are provided by members with this additional funding, and to provide even more support for this campaign. And we're also going to be embarking on a social media campaign shortly to encourage outside donations as well to match our contributions. So members that are on the prepaid lunch plan, you have the option of participating. And if you prefer not to participate, that's okay. But you really need to let the office know via email or phone them that you do not want to participate. And if you don't want to participate, then there'll be a credit that'll be on your July through December dues invoice. But we really need to hear from you by no later than 5 o'clock on Friday this week. And any senior active members who pay each week at the door can also make a donation. So please email or call the office no later than 5 o'clock tomorrow, Friday, and indicate the amount of your donation and authorize us to utilize your credit card on file for this donation. And our goal is to actually purchase these cookies as early as Saturday, and so they can be added to the CPS meals as quickly as possible. So I certainly want to thank everyone for their support of this project, and knowing that it'll be a wonderful support to those families and children of Cincinnati Public Schools during this challenging time. So thank you so much. Lastly, before I introduce Chief, I wanted to deliver a bit of news from some of our members. First of all, I'd like to ask everyone to keep the family of Rotarian Ivan Steinberg in your thoughts and prayers as they mourn his loss. Unfortunately, Ivan passed away in his sleep on April 3rd at his home. And lastly, I wanted to ask that you also keep past President Bud Dornetti and his wife Mary in your thoughts and prayers as well. Bud actually had to have a second surgery this week to relieve fluid in his brain, and he's still currently in the hospital, and he's not able to take calls just yet, but Mary's hopefully he'll be back and available in his rehab process within the next couple days, and we'll be able to talk to him on the phone again at that point. So please think of Bud and Mary during this trying time in their life as well. Okay, well, I would like to take the honor and the pleasure to introduce our chief today. So Colonel Elliot K. Isaac was actually appointed the 15th police chief in the history of the Cincinnati Police Department on December 10th in 2015. And Chief is a 29-year veteran of Cincinnati Police Department, and he actually brings a wealth of knowledge to their law enforcement presence and community engagement efforts with an emphasis on fair and equitable policing. His experience, it sounds like it spans virtually every department within the team chief, whether it's administration, whether it's patrol command, internal investigations, problem solving, and community engagement. And prior to being chief, he was also the executive assistant police chief, and he also served as the criminal investigations commander, where his responsibilities included oversight of all types of investigations such as homicides, personal crimes, and financial crimes. He's also been the commander of the District 4 group, where he spearheaded several initiatives which significantly reduced shootings and other homicides in really one of the busiest and most violent districts in the system. And on a more personal note, Chief has been a graduate of the Senior Management Institute for Police, also the FBI National Academy, and is also a veteran of the U.S. Army National Guard as well. And he holds a couple degrees. One is a bachelor degree in organizational leadership, and also a master's degree in human resource development from Xavier. And last but not least, on a personal level, Chief Isaac is very involved with the Hope Worldwide organization, which is committed to changing the lives of individuals through community-based services. So please give a warm virtual Rotary welcome to Chief Elliot Isaac.
All right, thank you very much. I bring you all greetings from the Cincinnati Police Department, and I'm very excited to have the opportunity to meet with you all virtually. We typically look forward to every April where we are very excited to have you all recognize some of the great work that our officers do. And again, I can't thank you enough and express to you how much that means to our officers. Cops put a lot of effort forward, and they really don't ask for a lot in return, but to see the gratitude and the feeling that comes over them when they get recognized for the great work, that's really something special, and we thank you so much for that. I come to you at a time that this is very different. Usually we're here as we talk about over a great lunch to recognize some of the great work that's been done. This is unprecedented times for us all. Great challenges of the like that any of us have ever seen before. But I'm proud to report that our officers are in great spirits, and they're out here every day giving this great city of ours their all. We've been faced with the challenges that everyone else has. The way we're policing is slightly different, but we are out here providing that same high quality and dedicated service that we try to of all times. A lot has gone on in the past couple of months. Our officers are out responding to crime. We see crime rising, unfortunately, at this time, the violent crime, but in a fashion in which we are really faced with a challenge. Our officers are concerned about their own personal safety as well as the safety of the community that they serve. So we are approaching this from a different perspective, but I'm happy to report the great work that you continue to see. We saw a recent rise of homicides in the past week where we saw 3 double homicides, but through the hard work and dedication of our investigators and their support staff, we were able to close all of those. So I really don't bring you a typical message. I wanted to leave a lot of time to answer the questions that you may have for us during this COVID-19 pandemic, and I'm gonna turn it over to you for any questions.
All right, well, thanks, Chief. And I also want to thank all of our members who have submitted questions for the Chief. So those were submitted in advance, and I'm going to ask the Chief a few questions, and we'll get to learn more about what's happening on a daily basis within the district. So first off, Chief, how does the city handle the homeless population who seem to have a high risk for getting COVID-19 but really can't shelter in place, obviously, in a home like the rest of us?
That's a great challenge. Our homeless population, they are a segment of our community that is at a great risk at this time. One of the things that the city has done is convert the Over the Rhine Rec Center into a shelter-in-place facility. For those individuals that may be experiencing homelessness right now, when they need a place to shelter in place or to quarantine if they've started to experience any symptoms, they are allowed to do that at the Over the Rhine Rec Center. Also, we've had a number of our social service entities step up and provide hotel rooms throughout the county for a number of those that are experiencing homelessness so that they are able to also shelter in place during this time. And then most recently, as of yesterday, there was a large allocation from the federal government, I believe over $1 million, that are being able to also go towards these efforts. So that's a very positive step into helping that at-risk population. Excellent.
How is Cincinnati enforcing the stay-at-home work order, and what's considered an essential reason to be out of your home?
That's definitely been a challenge for us. There are those that are required to go to work, those businesses that are still necessary to operate, obviously first responders, those that work in the medical profession. We still need our grocery stores, our drug stores, and some of the logistics that make those things function. So they are they are essential to keeping us all up and moving. Our challenge is to enforce those large groups that we see. And we're trying to approach this not from a heavy-handed perspective, but to be really delicate in that. We understand the challenge that this brings and the uniqueness that we're all facing. Kind of the direction that I've given our officer is to make sure that when you see groups of people out or you see groups of more than 10 gathering, that you engage that group of people, that you explain to them the need for us to keep each other safe by social distancing, by adhering to the stay-at-home order. So they're to engage, they're to explain, then they're to encourage them, third, to separate, to space out, that this is what we need, and to ask for their compliance. And then finally, if we're not able to, then we look at our enforcement option. We've had to do that a handful of times over the last few weeks. And the vast majority of those are individuals who were up to some other activity that were also charged with not adhering to the stay-at-home order. But we have gained compliance in almost all of the circumstances that we've asked people to adhere to.
Excellent. So one of the other things that we see every night in the news or hear every day on social media is the challenge to get our hands on personal protective equipment. So does the police department have adequate supplies of PPE?
That is definitely a challenge, and it's been a challenge for law enforcement throughout the country. And here, we were I think we were very fortunate that we had the foresight to start to really get in front of this and make sure we had adequate supplies. Right now, we have what we need, but we just don't know how long this will last, so it's something that we're always looking forward to trying to secure and make sure that we have more than enough on hand so that we can continue into the weeks ahead.
Definitely a challenge for you and a lot of others.
It is.
You kind of mentioned this in your remarks, but behavior changes during these time frames. But what are the trends that you're seeing with domestic violence, and are stress levels rising among the population that are apt to be involved with that?
That is definitely something that we are watching very closely and that we're monitoring. I know at some places throughout the country, they have seen an increase in domestic violence. Currently, we have not, but it's something that we are definitely watching very closely, and I think it is very reasonable to expect that when people are at home that there are greater opportunities for those type of things to occur. So something that we talk to our officers about, and we're very mindful. We work very closely with Women Helping Women, and want to make sure that we're on top of that. And we want to make sure that everyone's safe. The challenge that we've seen, as I mentioned, is we've seen an increase in violent crime. We have a number of individuals that have taken this opportunity to go to some extremes, but we are certainly going to meet that challenge.
Very good. Another question that was posed was, what do your officers report as some of the most vulnerable and desperate groups of people during this crisis?
I think that we're seeing this hit everyone hard. There are a number of people that have lost jobs. People are uncertain about the future. It's something that we need to make sure that we're mindful of taking a close look at everyone. But we know that there are obviously those obvious at-risk populations, our seniors. We talked about the homeless and those that have pre-existing health conditions. So anything that we can do to try to help those populations is what our officers are focusing on.
Very good. Let's talk a little bit about your team. How many officers have actually been diagnosed with COVID, and how are you managing through that process?
You know, something that we've definitely tried to stay in front of. We've had 8 officers that have been diagnosed positive with the COVID-19 virus. I'm happy to say that 4 of that 8 are already back to work and are back at work doing fine. The other 4 are still recovering. They have mild to moderate symptoms, but they seem to be doing well. I've had the opportunity to exchange text messages or conversations with all of them, and we look forward to having them all back.
That's very good to hear. And now, have you had to quarantine other officers potentially that have come in contact with these, and has that impacted scheduling and staffing and that type of thing?
We have had a few. We are very fortunate that so far we have not had a significant need to do that. I know some other departments across the country have been hit very, very hard. It's something that we watch very closely. We're very mindful. We have strategies in place that if we need to replace officers, if we need to move officers out of other assignments to make sure that our street strength remains adequate, we've got those plans in place.
And I think the last question, which I think is a little bit different from everyone other question that I've asked so far, is there anything that the media is not covering that you wish they were paying more attention to promote the things that are going on that are positive?
You know, I think the media has covered so much stuff, but there's just so much going on. This impacts us in all the same ways. And as I mentioned at the very beginning, we're so grateful for your support from the Rotary Club. You know, I think it's important that people continue to remember that your police officers, your firefighters, your medical personnel, we're all human too. They all have family and those loved ones that they're concerned about. And through this, sometimes there's an expectation that that's not always considered, is what the officers convey to me. But we have seen an outpouring of gratitude and thanks, but it's just something that we all have to continue to move through. I tell you, the thing that's concerning me as much right now as we move through this pandemic is the financial situation that the city and the state is gonna be left in when this ends. Right now, I'm sure you've heard some of the conversation about the outlook for the city budget. I'm very concerned about the impact that that's gonna have on our city employees, including our police department, something that we will certainly need your support and help as we move through this. This is gonna be a very trying time, even as we come to the end of the pandemic. I think we've got some very challenging days ahead of us.
There's no doubt about that. It's you know, the issues are going to be different, you know, as we get out of the pandemic, but I think that we'll, as we always do, we'll recover one way or another. So, Chief, I want to thank you so much for being here today. Certainly, the job that you and your team have to do under normal circumstances are unbelievable, let alone having to deal with this pandemic at the same time. And I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to be with us. And thanks for your service to this city. Obviously, over the last 29 years, it's been a stellar career. And as you said, I'd much rather us being together in the Hall of Mirrors, where we're honoring your team during Police Recognition Day, and we're planning on doing that sometime very soon when we can get that back on the schedule. So we're certainly looking forward to doing that. It's certainly one of our highlight meetings of the year. So, you know, from our perspective, as Rotarians, I think you probably know that we're all about service. I talked about several things that we're doing to try to help the folks in this community, but we also have international service efforts as well. And you're probably aware that eradicating polio is one of our major service efforts that we've done for many, many years, and actually since the late 1980s. And at that point in time, there were actually 350,000 new cases per year. But we've been working at it really hard with other partners like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and now we're just down to just several dozen in Afghanistan and Pakistan now. So, but the hardest part is, that last mile effort, and that also requires a lot of financial support to make sure that we really truly finalize this project over the next couple of years. So today, in your honor, we're going to be making a donation to the End Polio Now campaign in helping with that last mile effort. So we hope to eradicate this once and for all in the next couple of years. So I really appreciate you again being with us today, and we'll look forward to seeing you and your team back in the Hall of Mirrors here in the next, hopefully, month or two.
Thank you all. Please stay safe, and again, thank you so much for all your support.
Absolutely. We're looking forward to seeing you again.
Okay.
Rotarians, next week we're going to have another virtual meeting, and a little bit of a change of pace from this week. We're going to be having Bob Ostreicher, who is from Tire Discounters, be our guest speaker, and I'm sure that they have different challenges compared to other folks, but we're going to learn more about it from their perspective as well. And certainly don't forget about our virtual happy hour, after hours happy event tomorrow night at 7. And certainly would like to also thank Rotarian Ed Atchison again and his team, including AJ, for managing this event today from not one but 2 locations, which is not easy. But they've been very, very helpful in the last couple of weeks. So Rotarians, stay safe and healthy, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week. With that, meeting adjourned.